He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in LA, here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
Good evening. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East West Audio Body Shop. God, not another week it was. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
This is crazy time of year, man. Everything kind of fever pitch this time of year.
I'm not quite sure what it's all about, but, somehow, the stars are lined up in a certain way, and that's just the way it is. But sleep has not been something we've been getting over here in the east part of East West Audio Body Shop. Yeah. You got a kid, so you don't sleep anyway. So
we sleep on her schedule.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, tomorrow, we're doing college trips. I'm doing a college trip tomorrow. We're taking our older son to go see Oswego State.
Really? What's Oswego's thing? I don't know.
It's a SUNY school. It's a State University of New York school. It's got liberal arts, but he wants to study linguistics.
Oh, that's good.
Linguistics. Can speak 5 languages right now.
Holy smokes!
Yeah,
that's really impressive.
We're quite proud of him.
Well, in a world market, a world economy, that's huge.
That's true. And it's like, it's a lot of Latin-based languages, but he wants to learn Russian and Arabic and Chinese. It's like, how can you learn all that?
Once you get started, you can't stop. I think it's like eating potato chips,
or starting aquariums.
Right. Well, it's like you meet people that learn 5 languages, and then you meet them again, they know 6. It's just,
that's true.
It seems to be something about the way your brain's wired, and what the ability to learn a language is like learning a programming language. Once you've learned a couple, you start understanding patterns and whatever. It just gets easier and easier. Apparently.
Yeah. I remember trying to learn BASIC when I was in college. I failed miserably.
Well, I was learning BASIC when you were in college. I was also learning BASIC, but I wasn't in college.
You were in middle school.
No, I was in elementary school. But we had a little game called I think it was called Turtle. If anybody remembers in the chat room, the Commodore PET 16, which predates the Commodore's 32 and the 64, and it had a tape machine for loading in software. Do you remember that? Cassette tape.
I remember the cassette. I remember a friend of mine had the TRS 80 or something
TRS
like that.
Trash 80, we call it.
It was like a big calculator, and it was a computer, and he had to program it in BASIC.
Yeah. I had a TI 90. The one my dad brought home from work that we just totally wasted a lot of time on was called the VIC 20s. Yeah, the VIC 20.
I had one of those.
There was the TI 99 4A, Texas Instruments, and that thing was cool because you could make it talk, which was really awesome. But anywho, how do we get on that subject? I don't know. But when I was in college, they were making me learn Fortran. That's when I knew I was in the wrong degree.
Oh, did you learn Fortran?
Which was no, not much. That was outdated in 1992. It was outdated. So.
Oh God. Anyway, well, we've been telling you, this is going to be an important show tonight because we've got a great conversation coming up a little bit later on. Our special guests tonight are 2 great friends of ours, somebody who I've been working with very closely over the last 3 years, and over the last month or so, it's been like we've been practically living together only on the internet. The president of the new World Voices Association, World Voices Organization, Dustin Ebaugh, and Mr. Social Networking, one of our favorite guys here on East West Audio Body Shop, the guy whose voice you hear before you hear ours.
That's right.
Dave Courvoisier will be here at the bottom of the hour or thereabouts. Him being a news guy, when I say bottom of the hour, he knows what I mean.
And he also knows how to be on time.
And he does.
That is for sure.
Yes. Anyway, they'll be on a little bit later on, but we got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. First off, I have to show off. You named it Frankenmic. Because this microphone is a It's a Frankenstein microphone. Here,
just talking to the back, and it'll sound exactly the same.
Right. I'm talking into the back of it. So
perfect.
You can hear it, but you can see it's got bolts and it's got eyes, and
that thing is hilarious.
It is, and it's what's odd is it's one of my best sounding mics, which is even scarier.
But it's plugged into the cloud, right? The Cloudlifter.
It is plugged into the Cloudlifter, which I'll probably pull over all sorts of stuff here. But
you can't show on the camera, but it's just a little blue box that has an input and an output, no switches, no lights, nothing. It's like a magic box.
Yeah,
but it's perfect for ribbon mics and even dynamic mics. It just kicks the output of the mic up a lot more, so that you can get more signal out of it before you get all that hiss in the background.
That's right, and that's why I sound so darn good.
Yeah.
On a microphone. Well, the body is like 80 years old. I mean, this is from the 30s.
This is like when guys take an old beat up car, like a 30s or 40s, then they do an engine swap right out of like a Cadillac CTS V spec with a supercharged V8 engine, right, and shove it into a 30s jalopy.
That's right.
Would that be accurate?
That's exactly what this is. Of course, now I'm going to have to paint it, but it's got the original Bruno colors on it.
No, don't paint it.
I was thinking of painting it like metallic green or something like that. Maybe give it a couple of wings or something. Yeah. Maybe a wood ornament. And
you want to be the rat rod of microphones. Anybody out there knows what a rat rod is? You know what I'm talking about. The crappier it looks, it's got to have like dull, paint that does, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could make it a lowrider too, and it could go like this.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting way off.
Let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, really.
Well, let's go the completely opposite direction and talk about USB mics.
I think we should. Take it away.
Well, USB mics. I mean, the thing about USB mics is they've always been considered not cool for school. Not professional. And there's a good reason for that. When they first came out, I don't know when the very first USB mic came out. It was probably about 7 or 8 years ago, or at least a professional style USB mic. Probably came out 7 or 8 years ago. And the earliest, companies that were launching them were companies like Samsung,
yeah,
and with the CO1U, thank you. And then there was the one that probably gets the most of the spotlight because of their brilliant marketing, and that's the Blue Snowball. And the problems with those early mics were a couple of problems. Well, first of all, I don't think they realized the full potential of the technology, so they weren't really expecting to be used for anything really beyond podcasting. And
podcasting hadn't really taken off in 2006 when those first came out.
Yeah, well, it was just kind of coming out. Podcasting was, getting a little traction. And so, a mic that was as good as a Snowball, while we consider it nowhere near as good enough for professional use, was still a leaps and bounds better than what most people were going to have in sitting in front of the computer, the headset mic or the little cruddy plastic boom microphone that you could get for like $10, they were miserable. And the Snowball came out and it was a big improvement, but it had a low, medium, and high gain setting, and that was about it.
I don't even think it was that. I think that was the pattern on it. I used to think it was a 1, 2, 3 thing, but it was actually a figure 8 pattern and a cardioid and a hypercardioid pattern.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't remember. They might have come out with a different one that had more than one pattern too. Mm-hmm. But I do remember the original one because a client of mine had one, and I had to try to make it sound good. And so it, even in the highest setting, it didn't have enough sensitivity, too much white noise. Just, the problem, the goal, as we always say, is like you need a clean mic with clean gain with very low noise, and you couldn't get that with the Snowball. Unless you were a really loud talker and you were really hitting the mic hard, most voice actors were not getting anything useful out of it. So USB mics have been evolving. Companies like MXL, also known as Marshall Electronics, they've been putting a lot into USB mics. In fact, if you go to their website, they have the problem they have is they have too many.
Too many. They definitely have too many.
Yeah, they don't know when it's time to yank product out of the product line and just, retire things. they just keep adding to it and building the pile deeper and deeper. So then, you know, if you go to a trade show or even go to their website, go to USB mics, and your head starts to spin. I mean, they have like 20 USB mics, easy. They're sticking USB in everything. Yeah. And they do have some good products, like the USB 009. That was like the first 24-bit 96 kilohertz USB mic. And that is like the closest I saw to a pro quality USB mic. That was quiet, had lots of gain. I think it even had switchable patterns. Pretty unique mic. But it was kind of big, and for a USB mic, $400+ kind of pricey. So, you know, I just kept searching and searching. And then I stumbled on this product from Shure called the PG42 USB. The PG line is sort of like their affordable versions of their more expensive mics. You know, they'll have the SM27, but then they'll have the PG27. And I think they have similar parts, but they're, you know, might be specs or might be a little bit lower because they save money on certain aspects of the microphone to make it more affordable. But the PG42, I think, is like hits a sweet spot in USB mics. That thing has great sound. Really, it's very smooth. It doesn't have too much of a bright top-end hype that a lot of condenser mics have these days that kind of make them a little too bright on some voices, especially women's voices. And it's got a high-pass filter switch, which a lot of cheaper, especially USB mics don't have, which I think is really useful. And it's also got headphone monitoring. Now, I know in voiceover, a big part of voiceover is the acting, and not wearing headphones while voice acting is usually, you know, what you're trying to go for. But I find, at least when it comes time to set the thing up, especially if you're traveling and you're trying to figure out where this thing needs to go, to be able to plug a headphone into this thing and get real-time monitor off the mic into your headphones, I think is a pretty important part of the function of the mic. I think it's really helpful, at least in setting it up. It also has a nice shock mount with it. And like I said, it sounds great. I've set them up in a couple of Celebra Voices, you know, home studios. You know, some of these are not even studios. They're like, you know, closets, which Dan will show you a little later. And they have fulfilled the need. And I keep telling people, if you really just need something as brain dead simple to operate as possible, start with something like this and graduate from there. You can even go with like a USB microphone combo, like the Harlan Hogan VO1A with like a MicPort Pro. But you're looking at $400-ish. I think you might have a combo deal. But, you know, you're still looking at that $400 price range. And if that's still a little too rich for your blood, I think this thing is really pretty sweet.
How much is the 42?
It's about $250.
That's not bad.
It's a pretty good price considering you're getting a decent quality, well-made shock mount with it. Mm-hmm. And I think the high pass filter is really handy. And you get lots of gain out of it. You get variable gain, you get variable headphone volume, and you get a variable monitor mix as well. There's a little dial on the back to blend, playback, and record. That's the most helpful for doing stuff like Source Connect, where you have a real-time feed coming back at you. Or if you use Skype as a phone patch or something, and you hear the Skype caller, but they're too loud, you can actually blend with this little knob on the back the amount of return feed that comes into your headphones.
Sort of like a phone hybrid.
Well, yeah, I mean it'll let you kind of replace a phone hybrid if you're just using Skype for your phone patching duties. I think it's pretty handy. But it, to me, is the sweet spot. A lot of people really like the Audio-Technica 2020 USB, mainly because for its price, which is what, 100 and change. Sometimes it maybe 110.
Less than that. You can get them for less than 100. Really.
Yeah, it's crazy. That one is the price performance leader, I think. I think the next step up from that mic would definitely have to be the Apogee mic. The key thing is that all these mics I'm talking about, other than the Apogee, are PC and Mac universal. Right. And if you are a beginning voice talent and really budget is a lot of what you're concerned about, and you're not already a Mac user, you're going to have to use something that will work on Windows. And you know, the Apogee, unfortunately, is not going to do that. So the Shure or the Audio-Technica 2020 USB might be a starter mic for you to consider.
Yeah. What about the SE Electronics ones? I know they.
Yeah, the SE 2200A. Does that ring a bell? I think that's one of. I think they make a USB version of that mic. I think what makes that mic really unique is that it has it's a hybrid mic. It actually has a USB jack and a XLR jack.
An XLR jack.
Yeah,
right.
and there's only a couple mics that I know of that can do that. There's the Yeti Pro.
The new Yeti Pro does that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Yeti Pro. Now the Yeti is really unique because it also does stereo. So for voiceover, totally no need for that. But but if you are the kind of person that's a hobbyist and you like to go out and record music, you want a multi-function microphone, I think the Yeti Pro is by far the most versatile USB mic I've ever seen because it has an XLR jack. It breaks out to 2 stereo XLR jacks for left, right. It does figure 8. It does, headphone monitoring. Pretty much does everything. But I think you're taking a little bit of a compromise in regards to the mic capsule itself inside, right? Because the PG42 has a true large diaphragm condenser capsule, which you would find in any professional voiceover mic. But the Yeti has like a trio of little teeny electret condenser capsules.
It's like a little forest of capsules.
Right, and that's how it can do stereo and figure 8 and all this stuff. And while the quality of it is quite good, I think it's a little bit of a compromise. And the mic itself, the physical shape of the microphone, the size, it's very, very bulky. It's a really large, physically huge microphone. And if you were to put that next to hold the Ebaugh one mic up again.
Not a very big microphone.
No, I mean, the Yeti is almost as big around as this mug. I mean, it is huge, and it's maybe a little bit taller. It's a big mic. And it does have a thread on the bottom to screw a mic boom into it, but it's not the kind of thing where you can bend it around. You can't tilt it. And I think you can get a shock mount for it, but even that's huge, So it's cool and it's nifty, and it might be a cool second mic or a backup mic, and what you get out of it sounds great. But I'm still banking on that PG42. When it comes to just, I need it to be idiot proof, and I need my client to not have to call me, with follow up calls because they're confused or they forgot to hit the phantom power button. That to me is a reason to lean on that mic.
Yeah. I think phantom power is one of those things you do once, maybe twice, and then you're like, I ain't doing that again.
Right. Well, the MicBoard Pro, people forget to hit the little button on the bottom quite often. So
yes, they do, because it's a little tiny little orange light. And
maybe we can get a Shure PG42 and Ebaugh mic shootout one of these days.
Maybe. I'm impressed as all get out with this thing. The real key, I mean, aside from having the large diaphragm, this doesn't have a really big diaphragm in it. This is micro, magnificent micro work that the folks at Ebaugh did.
Right.
And the real key to a USB mic, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the diaphragm's important as a condenser microphone. But what's most important is the AD converter in it. It's got to have a quality AD converter that is not, like from a kid's cassette recorder, which is what some of these early mics were like. The PG42 and now the Ebaugh mic, it's dead silent. There is nothing there except the sound of the mic, and they threw a really nice capsule in this thing. We surmise what they did is they probably took an Ebaugh 1, took the guts from that. And that also had a little mic capsule in it that wasn't too bad. Yeah. And they improved that into a much better condenser diaphragm, and then put it with the Ebaugh 1. Now, if you guys from Ebaugh are listening going, these guys know nothing about how to work.
They're in Santa Monica, by the way.
Yes, they are.
I'm trying to get them on the show. I'm like, come on, you guys. It couldn't be more convenient. Maybe it's because we're on a Sunday. I don't know. But we'll get them on the show one of these days to talk about it.
But it's a great microphone, and I'm as a USB microphone. We did a test with it this week, and you'll attest to this, George, because I did send it to you. I compared it to my TLM 103.
Yeah, that's right. You cut back and forth, right, between them.
Could you really tell?
I knew that. I could just notice that there was something that was different.
The volume was a little bit different.
But I couldn't say one was better than the other. I didn't say like, oh yeah, well that's obviously a TLM. I mean, or I couldn't really get a drastic. It wasn't like night and day by any stretch of the imagination. It was really, really similar.
Yep.
And I think that's the lesson about microphones is a properly designed, professional quality microphone these days, thanks to the manufacturing in China and much, much larger manufacturing. Like, when the Ebaugh made that mic, I'm sure the run was huge. I'm sure they made them in the thousands.
Their time too.
Yeah, and when they did that, they can make them, much less expensive than a boutique microphone that's made, in a factory in Germany, by hand, and it's getting a lot harder for to make a major differentiation between those mics. So,
yep.
I know people that can really afford any mic. In fact, they even almost entirely use Neumann, and I'm starting to see these Ebaugh mics pop up in their studios, or sitting on their I'll go over there to work on their studio, and there's an Ebaugh mic sitting there. Yeah, you can't resist. It's, for some people, it's like a stocking stuffer.
I know. I can't understand why people would have like a $10,000 Telefunken mic. You can hear your grass grow with that thing. It's awfully sensitive.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, a good quality mic of any brand has to have, the studio has to be up to par to use it. Acoustically and noise floor wise, if all that stuff isn't on par, you're just wasting your money. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't spend it all on the mic and then run out of money to spend on acoustic treatment and things like that. Oh, I've said this all 100 times.
Yes, but it's the truth.
I know.
We have. It looks like we have a lot of new viewers tonight, or because we got a lot of people watching.
Yeah, there's
tonight.
people in the chat room I haven't seen, whose names I haven't seen before. So thanks so much for all the new viewers that are chiming in and actually participating in the chat room. It's awesome.
Really. And just watching the show and writing to us and telling us what you think about it. And we're humbled by it. We never thought that, we thought we would have some fun on a Sunday night, and we get to do it with everybody across the country, across the world.
Across the world, yeah.
It's amazing. Anyway, let's not waste any more of your money. Let's show you what you can spend wisely on your money. We'll
say that again.
I'll show you what you can spend your money. Let's go to a commercial break.
You got it. We'll be right
back.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to two characters that didn't have anything else better to do, Dan and George.
Yeah, what else are you going to do on a Sunday night, But we're back, and more stuff to talk about. Where'd my logo go? Come back here. Logo. It's back. All right. Anyway, so
someday
we got
I'll spoof up my background. Maybe episode 50, I'll get around to it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be out in California for Voice 2012, and we have lots of plans. We're gonna have some fun while we're out there, because we're going to be able to. We'll be totally remote. Mm-hmm. That'll be a lot of fun.
Our last remote show went, all things considered, I think it went pretty well.
Yeah,
and we learned a few things, and we'll be able to do our next one from Voice 2012 even better.
That's right.
And Dan will be out here in California long enough for us to be able to do two shows live together. So we're going to do episode, I think, should time out so that episode 50 is the show before the Voice 2012 show. Right. And what I'd like to do is do episode 50 from the Don LaFontaine voiceover lab. So I thought that would be a fun way to celebrate our 50th show, have Dan there with me, and so
maybe have a few celebrities. It might be a lot of fun. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what materializes.
Yes. A lot of people are asking about where they can get their mugs.
Ah, yes.
Well, you can buy an East West Audio Body Shop mug by simply listening to what George has to say.
Yeah, just go to shop. Just go to shop. Very well done, Dan.
Thank you.
Go to shop.ewabs.com. Shop.ewabs.com. And there's our store. You can go in there and look around, poke around, see what you can find. Get some mugs, get some mouse pads, iPad cases, shirts, whatever.
We got those.
We got those. We got those.
Whatever you want, we can make it for you.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Almost everything.
We're looking at some new ideas, but there's only 1,000 different things being juggled in the air right now. So
yes.
Within reason.
That's true. Well, why don't we go to the tip of the week right now, since we're just dragging on here with people going, what on earth are these guys talking about?
Yeah, get to the point.
Get to the point. All right. Well, we got some changes going around here, so I thought I'd do a little feature on what I've got to do. So roll it.
Okay, a bit of a dilemma. As we all know, I teach people how to build home studios. It's a unique environment. Everybody's home presents unique challenges space-wise and acoustically. Now, I love my little voiceover cave here. It's worked great for years, but I've reached a point where my excellent paying clients require my time, not my dog's or my neighbor's gardening time. My philosophy has always been you work to have great equipment, not get great equipment to get work. Lots of engineers and geek types argue the opposite. But they're geeks. They don't hire me. My clients do. The Black Hole of Calcutta is about to be scrapped in favor of a new, exciting home studio concept. We're going to gut this place, build a modern isolation booth that fits into this space, and redesign this into the space I had dreamed of when I moved into this house 18 years ago. Dilemma number 2. Where do I work while this space is being renovated? We've talked about this before, how to choose a room that works for you in your home. After careful consideration, it's back to the place I started. My master bedroom walk-in closet. Acoustically, it needs almost no treatment. It has just the right liveliness, and it's pretty well isolated. And the thing is, I'm not alone. I know some very successful voice artists making a great living talking next to their pants, shirts, sweaters, and shoes. Only something has changed that will make this a painless transition. Technology. I said it would be a game changer, and I was right. My Ebaugh mic is fabulous because it allows me to record on my iPad, my iPhone, and I bet you didn't realize it's also the best USB mic I've ever used. I don't have to run wires all the way to my workstation. I can set up my workstation anywhere in the house because I won't have to even record it there. I can run Twisted Wave on either and record and send my file to my Dropbox. Or I can use Twisted Wave Remote, run a longer USB cable to my MacBook outside the door, and control it from my iPhone or iPad while reading copy from either. Editing and processing will be on my normal software. And look how great it fits between Hawaiian shirts. Just use a music stand, your iPad. Let's read some copy. Let's see what it sounds like. Forecasters are talking about another hot one. Make sure your AC is strong enough to handle it. Call Tempo Air right now for a tune-up and save $25 on our spring special. Again, every situation is unique. Some of you are PCs. That's no problem either because, again, you can run a cable simply out of a closet to a laptop to your digital interface. But for now, I'm going back in the closet while I build the future of my home voiceover business. And that's my tip for the week.
Man, you should send that to your clients. Wow, sorry about the echo.
Yeah, really. If I do that, they'll all want to come over to my house and hang out in my closet. My wife will just love that. Right. She's like, she's all spastic over the fact that you showed them our closet. Well,
that was pretty nice closet.
Well, it's always been a nice closet. When I first started doing voice, I was like, I got to find someplace quiet. And that's when I discovered, boy, this is really good. Now, that was 16, 17 years ago that I realized that. You know, I was like talking into a cassette recorder and stuff, but it was nice and quiet. But that room, because it's got so many clothes in it, a lot of people say, should I take the clothes out of the closet? Like, no, leave them all in there.
As long as you got room to stand in there and you're not going to be rustling the clothing.
Yeah,
while you're speaking.
All I had in there was my boom, the Ebaugh mic, which, as you heard, sounded fabulous, and nothing else. I wasn't even using a pop screen in there. It works very well between Hawaiian shirts,
specifically,
which fortunately I have many of, and I was very, very impressed. So I'm not particularly worried as I go forth and put a sledgehammer to this room and we rebuild in here and build the voiceover studio of my dreams. And it's like, get to commune with my wife a little bit more often because her office is upstairs. We actually thought about switching offices. I was going to take the upstairs office, but better to be below grade for you guys that have basements. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a limited number of people. When I lived in Pennsylvania, cellars, basements, we all had them. I thought that was like common. Then I moved to California, and they're incredibly rare out here. Yeah, I guess it's because of stability of the earth and fault lines and.
Well, this is what it's going to look like. it's all going to look like graph paper and have all these erase marks.
Who designed that thing? That thing looks ridiculous. No,
it is.
I told Dan, I was like, don't have any parallel walls. Let's go crazy with this thing. Let's not make a square. Let's not make a rectangle. Let's do something totally different. So
I was going to make a rhombus, but no, that would create two acute angles, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, we're trying to avoid acute angles. So
I think the big problem is going to be the ceiling. That's something I'm probably going to need some help with. So
basements can be challenging because it's already a relatively low ceiling to start with. So
and it's a weird room. I've got an air conditioning trunk that lowers the ceiling about 11 inches. So I've got about 6.5 feet to work with. But I didn't want to cut off the glass block window either. I mean, I made it hard. I could just close off the window and build exactly what I need. But no, if I'm going to work down here, I need sunlight. Otherwise, all the vitamin D will leach out of my body, and
if you can get any way, shape, or form that you can get any kind of local, or outdoor light, sunlight into your space. You ever seen those solar tubes or solo?
Oh, yes.
Called solar tubes or something.
It collects solar light and turns it into useful light in your home.
Yeah, it pipes it in. One of my clients, Rick Wasserman, he has a garage studio. It's literally a single car garage. And one day I went in there and I was like, wow, the lighting in here is fantastic. And he was like, that's the sun, man. I'm like, you're kidding me. He had 3 of these solar tube fixtures. So it made like a circle of about 8-inch or 6 or 8-inch circle of bright white light. And he had 3 of them in there, and it is just incredible.
Right, and it works with fiber optics too. You can like direct it where you want. It's really cool.
The one I saw was basically like a metal tube where the inside of it is lined with reflective material. Maybe it's mylar or something.
Right.
And so you can kind of bend it and snake it, if it has to go around a piece of framing or something. It doesn't have to go straight down like a sunlight or a skylight.
Yeah. Okay, well, enough of, the home show 2012. Let's start getting back into voiceover here. We've got a couple of great guests coming up next, and I think I'll probably participate in the conversation with them because I've been thoroughly involved in this stuff that we've been doing the last couple of weeks, and we want to tell you all about it. Dave Courvoisier and Dustin Ebaugh will be joining us in just a couple of minutes right here at East West Audio Body Shop. We got important stuff to tell you, so you stay right where you are, and we'll be right back.
El Dorado Recording Services.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
This is Alex Verdi.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish
I've got my travel kit, I got my Source Connect, I've got it all going on, thanks to you.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop, and time to welcome two of my buddies, somebody who I work hard with, and these guys don't sleep. And then they're like on the other side of the country, so they add a couple 3 hours to it. Anyway, our guest tonight, president of the new World Voices organization and executive vice president, Dave Courvoisier. Gentlemen, welcome.
Great to see you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to actually see you, because we're like busily emailing it. That was the biggest train of emails I have ever seen.
Oh, yes.
What a week.
Every day. Just nonstop.
Yep. So why don't we review quickly what happened and why we suddenly have World Voices organization?
Oh boy, where do you start? You know, I mean,
the very beginning, I think.
We all had high hopes for Savoa. We were all part of it. We wanted to make it work. We tried hard to make it work, and we're not going to get into the details of why it failed. But we just knew it was untenable, irretrievable, and all of us left. We made a strategic decision to leave, and it was largely a legal decision because we felt like we were exposed to possible legal action, and that's about as far as I want to go. You want to say anything else about that, Dustin?
No, it just it wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be, and we all kind of found that out and decided that we'd be better off to have something that the membership, including us, would be able to control, that was open and transparent and not
a true community. I mean, where we could really expect everyone's participation and everyone could expect to have a say and a vote in things. And we're really trying hard, Dan, as you know, to make it that way.
Yeah, well, communication is probably the most important thing in any particular organization, and that was certainly something that we were dealing with in our former life. But communication was everything, and we listened to several people, and they're like, we need to be communicated with. So communication, because we are professional communicators after all. We thought it was going to be a good idea to have something where everybody could participate. And so we started an industry association, which, if you were watching last week, you remember me talking about the need for an industry association and why. So why don't you guys explain to the multitudes? We got a huge crowd tonight.
Yeah, great.
What exactly is World Voices organization?
Well, I think World Voices organization, the way that we've kind of encapsulated it briefly, is an organization that is, and this is a bit simplistic, but we're still working on our mission statement, an organization that is of the members, by the members, and for the members. We will serve as an advocate for the members, a guild where people that perhaps don't have the experience level of some of the other members can learn from them. And also, we'd like to set some standards as to what a professional voice artist is and is not, and ultimately just become a real online community for those of us that do this for a living, and for those of us that are trying to get into it. We envision a few levels of membership. We haven't got all the details worked out, but initially, until we get the accreditation or the certification set up, everybody will be an associate member, but then the members themselves will vote on what constitutes certification as, this person is exactly what they say they are. And they have the resume and the talent and the home studio or a studio to back it all up.
Right. And we've had the question, well, why you guys? Why now? Who set you up? Well, we set ourselves up. Honestly, we had to have a starting point. We all came from the other organization with a real passion and a drive and a mission to make this the best it can be. We couldn't make it the best it could be there. So we wanted to, so the 5 or 6 of us, we just started out and we elected ourselves, honestly. We had to start somewhere. You can elect us out of office whenever you want to. We want to open that up to everybody to input on the bylaws and the codes of conduct and the way we're going to set this up. There's no secrets here. And we've got a starting point, we think. We're starting with some ideas, but we're open to everything. Please let us know what you want.
And one of our goals is absolute complete transparency, which we didn't have before. And you will see Kathleen Kiesling, our treasurer.
She's the greatest.
She's the best. And she is going to, at least weekly, maybe even daily, all of our accounts and everything for the organization will be posted on our website for everyone to see.
Yep.
And the minutes of the meetings and everything is open, honest, and forthright. And there's no good old boys club. There's no secrets. It's inclusive of everyone. And that was our main goal, was to have something that everybody could and would like to participate in. And as Dan said, we didn't have a choice, and I guess in this instance, necessity was indeed the mother of invention.
Boy, what a week it's been. It's been about a week, Dan, since we started this whole thing. And you're right, the emails have been endless. The phone calls, the collaboration between the 5 and 6 of us has just been endless. And no one's lost their energy for this thing. We all still have the same passion that we started out with. It's been great. And not only that, but I'd say 99.9% of the response has been very positive. You go get them. How can I help? When can I join? What do you need me to do? It's just been great.
Right. And as Dusty pointed out, to join, anybody who is a professional voice artist, and that means not a part-timer, not somebody who's like, I want to get into the business. We're looking for professionals here, and people who actually know what they're doing, are actually making a living or a good income off of this, and have a home studio. This is the uniqueness about our community, which I was talking about last week, is we have the ability to produce high-quality audio. And some of us are better at it than others, and we want to make sure that there is a standard out there that everybody can adhere to. Now, there's, it's kind of a subjective thing, I guess, but there's never really been standards written or expressed for what a home studio is. 5, 6 years ago, this didn't exist. This is a totally new reality. And what happened before was, somebody had written up some standards from 1985. Totally irrelevant, totally out of date. We're dealing with digital technology, the ability to record audio very, very precisely. What used to be a $500,000 production facility now is, my MacBook Pro and a good microphone. And look at the ability. We have the ability to put on a TV show here. We couldn't do that 5, 6 years ago, to everybody. But what is it that makes a home studio, this unique place, something that can produce the quality audio that we're looking for? And that's what we're starting to do now.
And Dan, you're the guy. We're depending on you to come up with a lot of those standards, and I know you're wrestling with that because it is a whole new paradigm. And if there's anyone that can tackle it, you and George can. So we're hoping that you give us a starting point. We know we're going to get input from a lot of people who are at your level of expertise, and we want to hear from them. But we got to start somewhere. And you're right. It is a whole new concept. And it's kind of interesting that it all comes around at the same time that SAG and AFTRA have merged. There are things afoot in this industry, and we're part of this.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a big time for change in the industry as a whole. The challenge that I want to be a part and as much as that I can as sort of an associate member of the group, since I'm not a working voice talent, and to help build those standards with Dan. So I'll be contributing my thoughts on what that means. And it really is difficult. Do we have really black and white criteria, or do we have a range? Or, do you just trust us? And if we think it sounds good, it is good, which is a heck of a lot easier for us, I'll tell you. But, that's the thing is with recording quality of a voiceover, Dan and I have heard everything we've heard it all. And
we have.
It's like we know what sounds good when we hear it, but we do want to give people something they can go on. Something that they could look at when they're considering, kicking in as a top tier member, and they want to know what the bar is that they have to meet, and we want to have something that they can understand clearly as to what their goal is.
Yeah, and nothing is in stone, because again, like George just said, it's what sounds good to you may not be what sounds good to somebody else. Right. But there are certain things that we know when we hear them go, that's not right. And here's how to fix it. And it's usually something minor, but we don't want it to be sophisticated. We don't want you to have to do delta T calculations on the angle of sound reflection or anything like that. This is going to be very, very simple and easy to understand, and so it'll make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, we don't use super complex algorithms or metering or software that you can only buy through Audio Engineering Society. No, we don't. We use very basic tools to determine whether you're in the target zone of the quality. And a lot of it, like I said, is what we actually end up hearing. And the thing is, a lot of this is based on trust. You have to trust your peers, and also understand that when you do send in an audio sample, it's completely anonymous. And there are some of you who will know by voice because we've spoken to each other before. But most of the time, if you just send in a dry voice track of this copy, I've heard a lot of samples, and maybe 2 times ever I was able to say, oh yeah, that sounds like somebody that worked with me. I think I recognize his or her voice. But it's incredibly rare. Usually it's very much a very objective thing. I don't know who it is, and we just make sure that it's based on the most objective opinions possible.
Yeah, which brings up the next point here, and that is, I think a lot of people, what about talent? What about that type of certification?
Yeah.
I think that was a problem. I think that some people were worried about, that we're judging other people as to their talent.
Yeah.
And Dave, what do you have to say about that?
Well, look, there are subjective and objective criteria for both the technical aspect that you were just talking about, and even more so, I think, subjective for the talent aspect. It is a tough one, but as you said, the ear knows, and most of us who've been at this for a while can tell. And that's why we have in the past, and we probably will have something similar in our new organization, is to have a group of peers or of practice professionals listen to it. And then through a matter of groupthink and by voting individually, we'll say, yeah, this guy's got it, or 2 out of 3, or 4 out of 5 say, yeah, that person's got it. They'll pass the criterion subjectively by listening to it, or if they're on the margin, then you get to work with them, or someone who we appoint to work with them and bring them up to that level. That's why it's a true guild, and we probably will have some sort of an apprenticeship rank where people who are struggling with these issues can find the answers from their peers, and that's what makes it a true guild. And that's what I hope that answers your question. It is subjective, but those kind of talent questions do come up.
Yeah, definitely. There's some questions percolating in the chat room. I did ask if anybody had anything. One of the big ones is old Savoa members, are they grandfathered in? How does that work?
That's a good question.
Great question.
We haven't. There will be some special treatment, I think, we've talked about, but we don't know what it is at this point because we haven't set membership fees. We haven't set. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, there was a lot of work just to get it incorporated and online.
The website.
And so we're talking about this, but there will be some sort of special consideration. Probably at this point, we are thinking that maybe everybody who wants to become an associate member would pay a certain initiation fee, and then once we get the certification specifications and parameters set, Dan's working on the tech, and our VP of membership, Chris Mezelest, is working on the peer stuff. Then there would be, you could say, I want to be a certified member or a X member. We haven't even decided on the name of it. Then the associate members would pay an additional fee to become that and to go through review and all that. Perhaps at that point, then we say, okay, people that were in Savoa, you don't have to pay that fee. You can just
I think from a human fairness standpoint, we all kind of want to say, you were a Savoa member? Yeah, you're in.
You're in.
We really want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're probably going to accept that as a starting point for anybody who is in Savoa, you're in. And then from there, well, yeah, at some point you're probably going to have to sit for another certification type of session, and it may be a lesser one because you are a previous member of Savoa. Or you may want to specify, I would like to be certified for audiobook technical level, or that I want to be certified for a commercial technical level. We might have different, we're still talking about this. We might have different levels for different niches in the industry.
Yeah, we talked about, commercial or audiobooks or promo certification.
E-learning.
E-learning. There's tons of things that we can do. We have tons of ideas, but we need time, and then
your help
and feedback.
Just getting started, right? I mean, this is a growing, we just planted the seed, right? And you're putting the patting down the soil and.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about other things like, individual skills. Like, I would like to see people know how to edit properly. You'd be amazed at the, people like, well, there's, people think that we can't see an edit. George and I are going over tech reviews like, well, look, there's an edit there. We said you can't edit. I want to see a test for people to see if they can edit properly and understand processing. My philosophy is always, show me you know what you're doing. And that's what to me, that's a mark of professionalism.
And here's one other thing ultimately we really want this organization to be able to do that we couldn't get going with Savoa is that we want to be able to tell our studios, our partners, our clients out in the community, okay, look, we've got this organization of certified voice actors. They're at your disposal. Look in our organization first for your talent. I mean, we want to make this a hotbed of possible talent for all our clients out there. And that's why we think you'll want to join, and why we'll be so successful is because we want to let people know we're here.
Is the whole home studio thing, I mean, is that really semantics? Like if you have a professional studio you work in, but it's not at home.
I saw Doug's question, and no, Doug, it doesn't have to be physically located within your home.
Right. Okay.
The place where you record.
Right.
To be more general. Paul was asking about will be international. Well, of course, we already
are.
People that are we've got
Australia,
Turkey,
our Turkey connection, and
England,
Australia.
That's right.
Japan.
Now here's a biggie that's going to be a hotbed for sure that everybody wants to know that is in the unions. What's the relationship with the union? How do they dovetail and fit together?
That's a great question. I'm not even sure we've even opened up that discussion yet. We think that there can be a relationship. Maybe we could be a farm club, so to speak, using a sports metaphor. Or maybe there isn't ultimately anything we can do. We know that we've gotten the greatest pushback about this kind of concept from those people who are in the union.
Yeah.
I think it's just because they don't understand where we're going, and until we make that clear, we might still get that.
Well, and at least one of our founders is a union member, and Rob, and
me too,
Dave, and so one of the things that we talked about is actually having we are a guild, and maybe we can become like a feeder group for the union and have some association with them, but at this point they're still getting all the stuff together as one union. So, and then here we come. So we'll talk about all of these things eventually, and it'll be member driven. If the membership wants to do it, that's what we'll do. It's that simple. If the people want it and the votes are there, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's people driven. So
it's not our decision.
Yeah.
We're just the ones that make the phone calls.
I love it. As you said right on the website, we appointed ourselves, but you're welcome to vote us out.
Well, we're hoping you guys won't, but if you listen, what we accomplished in 1 week, I think was pretty impressive. That that we were able to get incorporated, that we were able to create a structure, come up with bylaws. The code of conduct, which I think might be an interesting thing to discuss now too, because that is, there are 3 different sets of codes of conduct that are on our website. And what are those all about? We've got one for voice talents themselves, and we have what are the other 2? We've got
coaches and
teachers, and one for producers.
Yep.
And so I suggest you go to the worldvoices.org website and check out those codes of conduct. We've had people mainly say, we pledge allegiance to these codes. You don't have to do that. Yeah. You really don't. It's
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
This is not going to be like that. But I mean, they are suggestions of what make good business practice all the way around, because there's really a sort of a troika to this whole thing. We've got the people in the business, people who are actual voice artists like us. You have people who are teachers like me, like George, we have people who are coaches, lots of great coaches out there, and we would like to make sure that people are getting a fair deal and aren't being led down the path of, well, come with me, spend $10,000 and I'll make you a star. That's not what it's about. And we want to make sure that people understand what a qualified coach is going to do. What are the types of codes that they should adhere to? And then there's the stuff that we all know about, which is the code for producers. Who wants to talk about that one?
It's just all a conversation right now. As you know, we've gotten some feedback from a very well-respected voice actress, and she had some great ideas. She took exception to some of our suggestions. Man, that's golden. I mean, we want to know what's going to work and what's not, and how that bounces off your head, and what do you think about that? It's just this is where we do discovery, and then we'll knock heads some more and ask some more questions, and maybe come up with a whole augmented list. But I just don't want to comment about it really yet until we get through that process, Dan.
How about just is it semantical as well, just to say that it's a certification versus accreditation?
Yes, because quite frankly, accreditation was our former vernacular, and we just want to get away from it. That's the honest answer. So,
I can't spell it.
I see Paul's asking the question, and others have. It's just a different term for the same thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And what certification is going to probably be very, very different from what people heard in the past. I think it's also important to point out that we are not replacing the former thing that was there.
Right.
This is a totally new idea. This is a completely this hasn't been tried before, which is why we're sort of grasping at straws here.
Just so we lost all the video. The sound's still fine, but we lost all the video.
Working on it. There we go.
Don't know why, but
my video is coming back now, supposedly.
There we go. You guys are back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't ask why that happened.
Yeah,
the question really is, what is this going to entail? Is this organization going to be specifically about certification? And I certainly don't see that. I see this much more as
about community.
It's definitely about community.
It's one of the thoughts that we talked about was like a virtual FAFCON or a virtual voice, someplace that we can all commune and talk to each other, and we can help each other and bounce ideas. And back to something that Dave said about it, agencies and clients and a resource for actual true jobs and you can, if your client says, geez, I need a good female voice or a male voice, but it ain't you, who do you suggest? Then you send them to the website and let them look at our our certified members or whatever we call them, and there's a source for.
We wish the word gets around to production houses and to people booking agents, and wow, did you hear about this place? I mean, look at how well Voice Bank has sold that idea.
Yeah,
it's the place where clients go to hear. We want to be a source like that for professional voice talents, and we play around with that word, a higher standard. That can be HIGHER or HIRE. Either way, it's a higher standard that we think we can set a minimum for.
It's definitely not a pay-to-play organization by any means.
No.
Definitely not. To have somebody mention that and
no, not at all.
Yeah, definitely.
People, you're not going to be buying,
leads.
That's not our intention.
Not at all.
I think the real intention here is to raise the level of everything that we have in this business, because face it, this is the frontier. I mean, this business didn't exist 10 years ago. And we've all grown into it, and we've sort of been feeling our way in the dark. And then we had a 5-year setback with something else that we thought was going to do that, and it didn't have the same idea that what we're proposing here. This is a completely unique idea for this industry. It's not a completely unique idea for any industry, because plumbers have this, and photographers certainly have this, and web designers have this. We're freelance artists. We should be able to have something like this too, to help us raise the level of what we do and maintain a high standard of quality for people who want to buy our voice.
Well, how do people get in the conversation? I mean, I know you guys are saying this is open, this is a place, this is evolving, this is formulating. Where do people be in the conversation?
They can go to our website and email us, info@world-voices.org.
Okay.
T-Vox had a question I just saw. I can answer that. Yes, it is a nonprofit
501c3
corporation. I signed the articles of nonprofit incorporation on Thursday and filed those with the state of Nevada. So it is a nonprofit. All of the bank accounts and everything, completely transparent, will be posted on our website.
Even the website's a work in progress. I mean, it's something I threw up as kind of a placeholder until we get the logo reworked, and the website is going to be redone in a WordPress format so that it's interactive. You can leave comments. I mean, all that stuff is being transformed as we speak.
It's coming.
We're just working on it, and we don't want to rush it. I mean, I'd love to have it all done tomorrow, but it can't be done. It shouldn't be done that fast. It needs to take time, and we want to do it right.
Absolutely. And as far as the logo goes, if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to come up with a logo for World Voices organization.
Dan, why would you say that, Dan?
Oh, I'm not a graphic artist, although I did design the East West Audio Body Shop logo.
That's good.
But there are certain individuals who say, Dan, you're a great engineer, you're a good voice talent, but stay away from the graphic arts. But we had to come up with something.
Got to start somewhere.
We had to start somewhere.
We had to start somewhere, and
Sorry, we have some great submissions from Mehmet in Turkey, and Cliff Zellman
Andy Curtison, we believe, is going to in Australia. Will be taking care of our web needs. But between the two of us, we got the domain name set, we got the email going. There's an endless amount of details just to starting up something like this, and we think we've made a huge amount of progress in 1 week.
It's really unique to have an organization form like this in front of your eyes. Of course, if it's a business, you're very, very protracted and secretive and careful, and you invest so much time before you have that launch. And you guys, we're specifically not doing that for the absolute most transparent, launch organization that you can possibly have. It's happening right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Our bloodshot eyes.
We intend to put the possible logos that we have. I mean, everything will be voted on. So you guys can give your feedback to the logos, and pretty much every aspect of this entire organization is all member driven.
We got to say though, we're so encouraged by the support we've gotten.
Goodness!
People see. I think clearly people see the potential here, the need for this organization, and we're so grateful for that support, that early rush of support, because believe me, we needed it in this last week.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
you guys are amazing.
I was thinking maybe we should have a contest for the logo. So first prize, no, I won't go there.
Well,
we've been a little punchy this week, where it's like, it's like we're going into this eyes wide open, but our eyes are a little bit bloodshot by this time.
Right.
So.
A little bit.
Well, I will say, just my parting shot is that, when it comes to the relations with the SAG-AFTRA, I think it's really important. And for me to be heavily involved with worldvoices.org, it's incredibly important that I have a relationship, because my bread and butter clients, the ones that really are the ones making crazy money, are all actors, union actors. So it's important for me politically and whatever to have this thing be very smooth. And so, like, I'm not in any union myself, and I'm not eligible to be in one. But to me, the relations between those two the World Voice Organization and the SAG-AFTRA union is really important. And I'm going to be, whatever degree I can be involved with that, I'll certainly. It's important to me.
We're wide open to it. It's just that we see they're still getting their ducks in a row, and we're getting our ducks in a row. It's just too early to really start the conversation.
We're getting our hatchlings in a row. We don't have ducks
our
yet.
eggs.
Eggs.
Yeah.
You're candling the eggs right now, actually.
That's right.
Pretty much. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. We know we have the inertia. We know we have this critical mass that we had been fighting for the last 5 years, and within a week, it's like the dam burst, and everybody's like, I want to be part of this. And it's been very, very exciting to see, the growth of this. I mean, we have a Facebook page, which is easy to find. We just started a LinkedIn page. We have 81 members in less than 2 hours on the LinkedIn page. And both of these places are great forums for discussion. I think that was one of the things that a lot of people really wished for. There's a lot of forums out there. There's a lot of social networks. Things get tossed out for talk, but we want to be able to use these social networks to communicate to our membership and let them know what's going on, and them tell us what they would like. And we want them to get involved. We want to develop leadership, people who want to take on the leadership responsibilities of this organization. And it's not easy. Having, Corvo and I will tell you, we've served on a lot of public boards and corporate, not-for-profit corporations. Developing leadership is so important, and that's something I think that we're going to definitely dedicate ourselves to. People who have the passion for what we're talking about, and we want to see them step up to the plate.
And the talent's out there, no question. And
Clearly.
People want to help. We just, people will give a lot of their own volunteer time and even money if they know the cause is good. And we want to give them a reason through this organization to be just crystal clear and clean and above board and have high goals, so they'll want to participate.
Well,
all right.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate your time investment and being on the show tonight.
You bet.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invitation.
We're going to put steaks on the grill, and we'll talk to you all later.
All right. Well, Dave Courvoisier, Dustin Ebaugh, a pleasure to have you. We'll be talking soon, I have a feeling.
Thanks, guys.
Anyway,
thanks.
Thank you. All right. So we've got a little bit more to talk about tonight. George, you have a little bit more about some tech, and we want to show the pick of the week, and we'll be right back after this break. So you stay right where you are.
Hey, my name is Bob Ball. I'm a voice actor and host of Pop Quizzical. Sure. I hear you thinking, Bob, what is this Pop Quizzical you speak of? Well, I'll tell you. It's a fun and funny, single-themed 10 to 15-minute audio quiz. It comes out every other week right here on the internets. You know, that thing that just about everything cool flows from. Pictures of cats, videos of dogs, and yes, Pop Quizzical. It's available on iTunes and wherever fine podcasts are sold. And it's easily found, too. Go to bit.ly/popquizzical. There's also a companion website at popquizzical.com with daily quiz questions, and every Friday over on the Pop Quizzical Facebook page, it's a Freebie Friday. Free stuff throughout the day. From The Muppet Show to James Bond to St. Patrick's Day, the Pop Quizzical podcast has a little bit of everything for you. challenge your mind and your funny bone with Pop Quizzical.
Class dismissed.
This is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Now back to Dan and George.
All right. Thank you. And we're back here on East West Audio Body Shop. Always a pleasure to talk to Corvo and Dusty. They're great guys. And, you know, we're staking our reputations on this thing. We truly believe in this. And we're hoping that you'll come along for the ride and have as much fun as we're having doing this, and maybe get a chance to sleep once in a while.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, we'd like to tell you about one of our great friends. I actually talked to Harlan this week. Had a great talk with him. We were talking about this. We were talking about some other stuff. He's got some great news coming up in the next month that you're going to love. And he's also got some great products over at his website, voiceoveressentials.com. Now, here's something here. The Auralex Mudguard. No, this is not for a truck. This is this is for dampening your microphone. A lot of you guys, most of you, I think, have learned that you have to dampen the sound. The best way to do it, I've shown you all homemade ways to do it. Always good to have a good professional product. And we all know the folks at Auralex make great stuff. And Harlan has it for you there. Only $100 for this thing. Boy, and it's not a substitute for a booth, but it's an important part of really dampening your system. And so this is another in this genre of equipment, like some other things that we might use.
You have the Reflexion, right?
I do have the SC Reflexion filter. I'm wondering if I build the new booth, if I'm even going to need it anymore.
If you build it right, you won't need it anymore.
That is the plan.
Yeah, this thing, the Auralex Mudguard, is a great way to see. One way I like to make a home studio turns like a bedroom into a home studio is I like to convert a corner of the room into a sort of a quasi booth.
Yep.
But not enclose it entirely. So really, you just have some paneling on the walls, maybe something on the ceiling, and then you put your back in the corner and you speak into the mic. And it works pretty well if you have a well-dampened room. So what's that mean?
No dogs.
Oh yeah, no dogs, and you have a room with curtains and other stuff. But if your room tends to be on the live side, and when you set the setup and you still get too much bounce back, something like this Mudguard will add just a little bit of extra absorption. Because what it's basically doing is it's catching the sound of your voice as it passes the microphone. The microphone's obviously facing away from the Mudguard. You're facing in toward it. And as you speak, the sound gets absorbed into the foam.
It doesn't bounce back into the microphone.
Right. And instead, it gets absorbed
or
into
the rest of the room.
And rest of the room, exactly. And that's the idea. And the biggest challenge of making one of these work really is just working, getting it arranged so that you can still comfortably read your copy. With a little bit of clever adjusting, it's not too hard to set up. So that's the Mudguard. That's a new product because I know he just started selling Auralex brand materials, so he's proud of that new relationship with Auralex. So congratulations, Harlan.
Yeah, all right. So all you have to do is go over to voiceoveressentials.com. Make it even easier. If you go to eldorec.com or over to homevoiceoverstudio.com, my website for the home studio master, all you have to do is click on the icon there, and it'll take you right to Harlan's store, voiceoveressentials.com. Thank you, Harlan. We're looking forward to seeing him.
Me
fairly
too.
soon.
Me too.
He's going to be on the show shortly.
He is. We're going to have him on to talk about an exciting new announcement.
Yes.
So,
all right.
Pick of the week. I did find something. Thanks for stalling for me.
Somebody did send us a pick this week.
Actually, this came in a while ago. I haven't had a lot of new submissions. Actually, I haven't gotten any sound samples or new pictures in the last week or so. So, and if you did something in and I'm totally missing it, then slap me in the face. Actually, sorry, there is something new. Ken, and I'm going to say his name wrong unless you told me how to pronounce it. It's probably Giglio, Giglio.
Giglio.
I think that's right. And his website's kensvoiceovers.com. He did send in something. This just came in.
Hot up the wire.
All right, let me grab the shot of the booth here. It's fun doing this live on the show, really. Makes it very organic.
That's right.
We like that word here in Santa Monica, organic.
Doesn't mean anything here in the middle of winter, I'll tell you.
Right. All right, here it is.
Here it is.
Let me see if I can get it cropped in a little bit better so I can be seen better.
Now This is actually a great place to have a studio. And I've worked with a lot of people that have this situation. Where am I going to go? Well, you can pull the Harry Potter on this one. This is underneath a stairwell.
That's what that is. It didn't take me long to figure that out, but that is definitely an under stairwell studio.
Right. Now, he's got carpeting on the walls, but he's also got Oralex. And he's also using a TLM 103 there.
Yeah, I see that.
But the great thing about something like this is you can really seal it off, if you're not doing really long reads, because boy, you can get hot in a place like that.
Oh,
we're gonna have to talk about ventilation one of these nights. But this is an interesting little setup, and it's working very well for him apparently. And you can see a little music stand there, and of course he has the mic. Is the microphone on a stand or is it on the desk? It looks like it's on a stand.
Looks like. Yeah, it is on a stand. I can see it. I can just about make it out going down to the floor there.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I have a sample though.
He has audio.
I do have a sample. Let me.
And it's not self-serving at all, as you'll hear.
I haven't heard it yet, so.
Okay. Well, you'll hear what I mean.
This is new to me, so let's take a listen.
The East-West Audio Body Shop. When George and Dan talk shop, people listen. Dan and George answer your questions and solve your home voiceover studio problems, plus special guests. Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific on Ustream, most every week. The East.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's a little bit self-serving. Actually, sounds a little bit like Corvo.
Yeah. Actually, it sounds a little bit Corvo.
When I was listening to that before, I'm like, Dave?
It sounds pretty good. I'm still hearing, and I don't know if it's
little tiny bit of bass reflex.
Yeah, I don't know if it's processing because some people may do that because they think it maybe sounds better, but it's a little bottomy. So I think it might need a little bit more bottom or mid to bottom range absorption. I think that area behind the copy stand where the copy is sitting could best be served by packing in some dense fiberglass paneling or something. I don't know what's going on below the countertop line. Let me see the email real quick. He said, I decided to send you a shot of my little sound booth, which is located in a closet beneath the basement stairs. Very tight space, but it's right in the middle of the house. So as long as the dog isn't running up and down the steps, and I remember to put the parakeet outside, it works pretty well for me. I use a Neumann TLM 103 and I record onto Pro Tools using an M-Box 2. I've also included an audio clip and it starts out with a couple seconds of silence so you can hear the noise floor. And the noise floor did seem quite low actually.
Yeah.
In fact, when I started playing, I was wondering if it was actually working. So that's a pretty good sign.
That's an excellent sign.
Yeah, that's an excellent sign. So
this is the great thing about home voiceover studios. You guys are so innovative in how you can do this. It's a lot of you guys are starting from zero and like, how do I do this? And then Judy Greenberg comes up with the bed thing.
I know.
I mean,
and she's ready to graduate. I can see.
Yes, I figured she was going to go to a futon this time, but no, she's actually going to upgrade to a really nice studio. Which
she's shopping for acoustics.
That's right. So,
but yeah, nice start on that. I would say it needs some more bass trapping.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. It just has a little bit too much resonance, and I think maybe the wall that's right behind the mic, even though it's carpet covered, is still bouncing back too much mid to low range frequency stuff. So that might be something to look into.
Yep. All right. Remember, send them here where you can get your studio on the air. Look, if I can show you my messy studio, you can show us yours. It's only fair. But you can write to us at ewabshop@gmail.com. And we'll be glad to get your stuff on. And also, we're looking for some studio problems. Have we solved every problem that's out there? Come on now. I mean, it's kind of silly. I mean, we know you're there. We know people are having problems. I mean, we get occasionally, weird ones like that ringing in the microphone that we've been getting a couple of times lately.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Some strange ones. I mean, when we get this weird stuff, I mean, George calls me or I call him. And go, what do you think this is? And we sort of stump each other on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But we'd like to hear some studio problems. If you've got an issue that you'd like us to try and solve for you on the air, we'll be happy to take that too. So write to us at ewabshop@gmail.com. Now, was there any other tech stuff you wanted to toss across this week before people go falling asleep on us in the East here?
Yeah, I know we're running long, but it was definitely a good show. I think you guys would agree. Man, those guys were great. I'm so glad to get that stuff out in the open. What's going on?
Yeah, really.
No, just a little bit of tech news. It looks like Adobe Audition's latest edition is bound to come out any day now. Version CS6, Adobe Audition CS6 is in pre-order. It's a $75 upgrade.
Good, even better.
Are you using CS5.5, Dan?
I'm using CS5.5. Yes.
Has it been really reliable?
It has been fairly reliable. The great thing about it that it was different from the other one was if it crashed on you, and it doesn't crash a lot. It actually can take a lot more storage on it. You can go a lot longer with editing stuff on long format stuff, and it won't crash on you. But if it does crash, it recovers, it auto saves when it crashes. I don't know how they do it, but
like Twisted Wave, that's a key thing.
It's a great thing. Yeah, Twisted Wave is the same way.
If you want to go to, I'll copy and paste this ridiculously long URL into the chat room so you guys can click on it and go right to the page that I'm reading. But it looks like there's a lot of features that may be, above and beyond or not really applicable to VoiceOver, like the ability to use control surfaces and automatic speech alignment. That's interesting. Quickly align and replace location dialogue with studio recordings. So that's for doing dialogue replacement, sort of a ADR-like thing. That's interesting. Right. Pitch correction, not really a particularly interesting thing unless you're trying to do a weird effect. Right. Parameter automation, which means you can change the amount of reverb, for instance, throughout a track. A production tool, but not necessarily interesting for just tracking voiceover. Right. There's some new effects. There's powerful effects routing and VST3 support. So now if you have any VST plugins that you've not been able to use, it now supports it.
Yep.
And this is one that I'm really interested to hear more about when people start trying this to understand better what it does. Loudness standard compliance. Match volume to ITU BS 1770-2.
Who cares?
Loudness standards to advertising for advertising volume and noise.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that makes sense then.
So what is that? Are they saying what is that? What do they mean by that?
It means that there's a broadcast compressor in there that's going to make it ultimately loud without overmodulating it, like an Optimod.
Okay, so it's they say advertising. The interesting that the word in there that's interesting to me is standards, loudness standards. So I want to see what that's
standards.
About. That's what I want to see. So that'll be interesting to play with. So anyway, that's the new tech of the week that I thought would be interesting to share with everybody and check it out.
Are they beta testing that yet?
Maybe they are. Maybe it's closed beta. I haven't seen.
Oh, I've got to get my hands on that. You'd think with all the ones I've sold for them, they'd send me one. But
all right,
I love CS5. I've loved the entire CS5 through Sound Booth and up into the Adobe Audition 5.5. Very, very nice. Great product and does exactly what I needed to do.
Good, man. Well, I'm getting a hook, so I got to go.
Oh,
I'm turning into a pumpkin or something, so I got to run.
Yeah. Or dinner is ready.
And it's
our lives, guy.
We'll see.
Anyway. All right. Well, next week we have anybody scheduled? I know we've got some great people lined up. I mean, we know June Foray is going to be joining us, and who else? Your buddy. I'm just totally drawing a blank.
Bill
here.
Ratner.
Bill Ratner. Bill Ratner's
coming on.
And Harlan Hogan.
Harlan Hogan's coming on.
And a couple of other legends of the business.
VoiceOver, the DLF Lab edition will definitely have some great voices on there too. So.
And we'll be at Voice 2012 in about a little over a month. Mm-hmm. I am so looking forward to seeing all you guys. That's definitely the best part about all that.
Cool.
So we'll be back next Sunday night, 9 o'clock here in the East, 6 o'clock out on the West Coast. Everybody have a great week. I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. We'll have a great week. You have a great week, and we'll talk to you then.
See you then. Take care.
Bye-bye.